in 2015, 4 prominent American gender clinics were awarded $7 million to examine the effects of blockers and hormone treatment on transgender youth. 7 years in, they've yet to report key outcomes of their work, but say their findings are coming soon. Now, even more scandalous, the involvement of the American Academy of Pediatrics. Just to give you a sense of why they're one of the most dangerous health advocacy groups in the country, they're quoted throughout this entire article as fully on board with the treatments being administered to minors, while their official guidance on tattoos is that children under 18 don't have agency to make a sound decision. That's remarkable. Joining me now is detransitioned woman and molecular biologist Kat Kattinson. Kat, it's good to see you again. I want to get your sense about the safety of puberty blockers, given your own experience, and then I wonder why you think it has taken so long for the media even to question this.
Sure. Thanks for having me again, Laura. So puberty blockers have been used for other conditions before gender dysphoria, but there have never been any clinical trials or controlled studies on their use in children with gender dysphoria. And given that they're administered later in this cohort, there are some risks, there's some increased risks, such as osteoporosis, stunted brain development, and infertility as well. And so personally, I identified as trans starting at age 13, but thankfully I did not transition until I was an adult because I was not affirmed by my pediatrician. I was not affirmed by my parents. But if I had been, then the side effects after detransitioning probably would have been a lot worse. I could be infertile. I could have had a hysterectomy, mastectomy. So I'm grateful I was not affirmed because it ended up in me preserving my health and fertility.
Now, Kat, what happened? Didn't you call Planned Parenthood to inquire about next steps? What happened?
Yes. So Planned Parenthood is one of the organizations in the U.S. that supplies gender-affirming care, and they do telehealth, so it's possible to be prescribed over the phone, which is what happened with me. They also say on their website that they will prescribe on the first appointment without a letter from a mental health care provider. So I had about a 30-minute phone conversation with a doctor, and I was prescribed that day. I picked up my prescription that day. So it's very easy to get these hormones these days. And I've even heard from underage transitioners that they were immediately affirmed. It was extremely easy for them to receive care as well.
Well, the NHS in Britain has blocked this kind of treatment for young people. What do you think's taken so long here? Because there's a lot of money being made off this, a lot of money.
Absolutely. I think there's some invested interest from plastic surgeons. They make a ton of money from the surgical procedures. And then, of course, the pharmaceutical companies are funding research into gender-affirming care. For instance, Jack Turbin, who's one of the most prominent researchers into gender-affirming care. He's being funded by Arbor Pharmaceuticals. They are manufacturers of triptorelin, which is one of the common puberty blockers that's prescribed.
Oh my God, Kat, this story gets more twisted every time we talk to you about it, and you're providing invaluable insight. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. We're going to stay on this.
So you may or may not have seen in 2013 an interview with a Navy SEAL, Chris Beck. He came out as a transgender Navy SEAL. But why we're here today is because of everything happening in America with this transition craze that's going on with kids. You have something that you want to tell the world. What is that?
Everything you see on CNN with my face, do not even believe a word of it. Everything that happened to me for the last 10 years, They destroyed my life. I destroyed my life. I'm not a victim. I did it to myself, but I had some help.
Transgender ideology is cultish, and it's not science-based at all. They take that desire, that innate human desire to want to change and to want to help people, and they use it just like a cult leader would. And the parents are so desperate to fit in with this ideology because of the fear of the us, them. They don't want to be othered. So now they're using the children as these trophies of like, look at me, I have a child that I'm accepting of.